Namaste. Yeah, Gita is an extraordinary text in the sense that it's a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna in the battlefield. And every time it is referred as Sri Bhagavan Vacha rather than Krishna Vacha, because most of the time, the way that he speaks, he uses two different platforms from where that he speaks, he expresses himself. And most of the time, the platform that he expresses himself is from the platform that he is God. So therefore is Bhagavan Vacha, identifies himself with the God and then he expresses that. And that is actually a human being having that experience. But then a few times here and there, he also speaks as if he is the friend of Arjuna and he is a knowledgeable teacher. So like that he also gives. But that's a few events and the maximum event is about Bhagavan Vacha. So therefore, it is not used as Sri Krishna Vacha, though on one side that he says that Dhritarashtra Vacha or Sanjaya Vacha or Arjuna Vacha, the same way that he could have said Krishna Vacha, but then he preferred to say Bhagavan Vacha. When we say Bhagavan Vacha, the idea also is not that just take it because God has said it, blindly follow it, blindly accept it, but it has to go through the realms of understanding as a human being. This is where an extraordinary concept that Indian philosophy gives that we ourselves, when we are so pure inside, when there is nothing about the world, not anywhere else, it's there from within. So, therefore, we always say that um, it is within us that divinity is there. And Patanjali also gives that idea, Klesha Karma Vipakashaihi Paramrishta Purusha Vishesha Ishvaraha. That means to say there is an extraordinary, wonderful Vishesha Purusha, pure consciousness that's there within, and that's what we are. And we reach that particular state. Now, it is whatever that pure state that is there, it doesn't even, it has only very nominal boundary of an individual soul, but otherwise it's a part of the universal soul. So when Krishna says here that Bhagavan Vacha, it is outside that particular boundary, he identifies with the universal consciousness and talks about it. So, with that sense, that we should look at Krishna as a person who is identified himself with the God. What happens within us is that uh, people like Krishna, Rama, they're extraordinary people who are identified with that. Therefore, what happens is that their whole approach is one for the mankind. So our therefore that they become like a guidance for us and then we reach that state. So let's start with the Shanti Mantra. Om Parthaaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshiniം Bhagavatim Ashtadashaധ്യായിനീം Amba Tvamanusandathami Bhagavad-gite Bhavadveshini. I was also giving this idea, particularly in the last about three chapters that we are dealing with. His Krishna in this chapter is trying to reach above the level of the logic, and it is transcending the logic that we need to approach. That means there is a level where we transact with the logic, but then we don't give up the logic, we transcend the logic. That means to say we take care of the logic. That's what he has done in the first 6 chapters. Very logically, very sequentially, he developed all those things, ideas. But then afterwards, slowly, that he shows the glimpse That's what is there beyond. So that means to say there is one region where that is we don't know it, one region that we know, that's what is known, and there is another region which is unknown. Unknown region is where that you use the logic, you lose the uh, experience and all those things, and come to the level where unknown becomes known. That means it can always become known. And in spite of the fact there are several things that we know, there are so many things which we do not know. It remains as it is. So, not having an unknown thing is nothing bad about it. That's what the nature is all about. And nobody will not know about everything that is there in the universe. So, therefore, that there is a known and there is unknown, but then unknown is something that we can explore and understand. And the third important area is the unknowable. But then that is the portion where your logic, your mind, your experience, all those things, normal human experience will not take you to that. Unless until you go to a different level of perception, level of understanding, you will not be able to reach that state. This is unknowable. But then unknowable, are we just, and not only that, it's unknowable. It can't be explained also because whatever that can be explained is within the realms of our language. Whatever that we can explain is within the realms of our logic. So this is one aspect of it. But then there is something which is beyond that. But when we suppose this idea of unknowable, that means to say, is it not superfluous that there may not be anything, but then you call it as unknowable? But then we still have that region because that it is experientiable. That means somewhere or the other that we can experience. Some people or the other have experienced it and they convey to us, communicate it to us. This is what when Buddha went into that experience, the history of Buddha says that he was in that state, samadhi, an extraordinary degree of experience, and then when he came out, he was keeping quiet. Then, it's a flowery language that he uses, that all the gods and goddesses, all the various sages were all waiting for Buddha to come out and say about his experience. He said it is not something that we can explain about it because the moment that I try to explain about it, the experience has been so valued that it will not communicate anything, it will not convey anything. And whatever that will say, you'll mistake it. Very simple thing like, for example, a taste of mango, you say it's wonderful, it's beautiful, but that's the only thing that I communicate. I can't say anything much more than that. A small little simple experience is something which cannot be explained. How can you think of an experience of something which is of universal importance, truth? And this kind of an experience, many people across the globe, they always have it. They had it. It may be from whatever may be the culture, religion that is there, but they got that experience. And they try to communicate to the people. Some people did not communicate, they just left it alone. Even in our own case itself, that we have this expression saying that these are the people who are avadhuta, like we have Sadashiva Brahmendra. And he reached that state, whatever that is supposed to be there, he had that experience. But only thing is that we only admire that. And such states of experience are there for various people. So that area is something which can be experienced, but it cannot be explained. So therefore, that is what is the area of unknowable. Now he comes, and actually the manifested world comes from that particular state because that gives rise to the soul creation. Creation is not because that what you think of it, what you manage it, what you do it, it's all within the realms of intellect and mind, but something more beyond. Mind cannot reach there, intellect cannot reach there. That is what the Upanishad says, that Navagacchati no manaha na vidmo navidanimo yateva tad vichat. That means to say that is a state where mind cannot reach, intellect cannot reach, and that's what is the state that we are talking about. So now, from there, the manifested world comes, and that manifestation of the world is what is called as vibhuti. So therefore, vibhuti does not mean something which is miracle. In fact, if you look at it in one sense, that everything is a miracle. How a child is born, how a child is carried with all that kind of impressions with the parents have and all those things, how is it possible? How an intellect can produce something which is extraordinary. So every moment seemed to be the sense of wonder. Every moment there seemed to be a sense of admiration, sense of vibhuti. So if just imagine that a small little intestine portion that is there, and then you put the food, the whole thing is converted into blood and energy and this and that, all kinds of things. How can you really think of something that's happening? Is it not a miracle? If you have an approach to appreciate the miracle, then everything that looks miracle, and that miracle is supposed to be vibhuti. So this vibhuti is neither good nor bad kind of a thing. It involves everything. This is what Vibhuti Yoga, 10th chapter, that Krishna is trying to give it to Arjuna from that different kind of a state of experience. So let's go to the sutra. He says, Bhuyaye va mahabaho srinume parvam vachaha yatteham priyamanaya vakshami hitakamyaya. Name vidussuraganaha prabhavam namharshayah ahamadarhi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashaha. Bhuyayeva mahabaho Sri Bhagavan uvacha shrinume paramam vachaha. Sri Bhagavan said, Hey Arjuna, here once again my supreme word. This is what is paramam vachaha. I shall speak to you, which I shall speak to you, who are so loving out of solicitude for your welfare. Tatteham yatteham priyamanaya. That means to say, I have feeling of love for you. I have a bhava for that for you. Vakshyami hitakamyaya. So, for the good of yours, for the benefit of yours, for the welfare of yours, I'm trying to give this. Name viduhu saraganaha. Neither gods, Prabhavam Maharshaya, nor even the sages, great sages, know the secret of my birth. Ahamadirshi Devanam Maharshinam Chasarvasha. My appearance in human and other garb out of a mere sport, for I am the supreme cause for all the respects of gods as well as that of the great seers. So these are the sutras. Let us try to look into it. Or maybe one more sutra. Yomam ajam anadim cha vetti loka maheshwaram asammudha samatyeshu sarva papaihi pramuchyate. He who knows me in reality in birthless and without beginning, and as the supreme lord of the universe, he undulated, the undiluted among men, he is purged of all sins. Here a few words that he talks about. Let's try to look into it. Hey Mahabhaho, and then Paramam Vachaha. I'm going to tell this. Paramam Vachaha, translators have given two important qualities. One is it is secret knowledge, Rahasya. And then another thing is it's very effective. That's something which is ultimate effect that is there within us. Paramam Vachaha. I am telling about that. Yatteham. He says Priyamanaya. That means to say, you are somebody who really liked me very much and I like you very much. There is so much of Priya, Prema, connection between you and me. Nanna, and then they, Hitakamyayaha Pakshami. Purely for the sake of goodness for you, help of you, I am going to talk about this particular thing. So one level of health, one level of goodness that we can understand is the level where we can think of good and bad, right and wrong, okay, not okay. This is what is the secular level that we understand. But here it seemed to be something which is hitakamyayaha. That means to say it is definitely going to give a of health, of the help, that is something which is beyond. Paramam vachaha. What is this parama vachaha? What is that he is talking about? Normally, what we know is the satyavacha, asatyavachana. What is truth, what is not truth? What is right, what is wrong? So, at a very low level, that we say that what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. It is a very low level of looking at all those things. They are very simple, and we can easily understand that, and that's what belongs to the world outside. And that's all what the world can think of it. Material world can think of it. It all belongs to the world outside. Like what you eat, what you see, what is the lifestyle that you adapt, what you walk about, what you talk about. These are all the things which are there in the world outside. They are necessary. They are very much important. But then that is only the satyavacha, or the hitavacha. That's what is the thing. But it is not paramam vacha. Paramam vacha is what is that which does not have the opposite to it. Satya always have a satya. And what is supposed to be the good may not be good after some time. At one particular area, it may come up with all kinds of tags on it. Like for example, you cannot universally say it is good for everybody, because if somebody is sick, somebody is having something, what is supposed to be good for a common man is not good for him. Similarly, what is supposed to be truth for you may not be the truth for somebody else. Or what may be the truth now may not be the truth somewhere else. However close it may be. Like for example, we are staying in Bangalore. We say that there's such a heavy rain, there is so much of destruction that's going on. One part of the Bangalore. Other part of the Bangalore person says, where is rain? We don't have any rain in Bangalore. So that means to say, at one place it is reality, at the other place it is not real. Somebody's death, when it is somebody who is very close to us, yes, you feel so horrible, so bad, so much affected by that. But then somebody's death is reported who is not close to you, it doesn't give you the same kind of a response from you. So that means the intensity changes. So that means where is the question of truth? So all these things are what is called as satya, asatya, right and wrong. And what is supposed to be the good now may not be good later on. So at one point of time it is good, another point of time. Desha kala bandha, that's what is the way that normally that objects that we can think of. But then paramavacha is something which is beyond that. And this beyond that is something which is rahasya. It is supposed to be secret knowledge. Why is it secret knowledge? It's not the secret knowledge because that it should not be said, it should not be passed on to anybody else. That's not the idea. In fact, secret knowledge does not depend upon individual or anything like that. The knowledge itself is having that quality of secrecy. Please understand that knowledge itself is something which cannot be explained in terms of words, in terms of any gestures or anything like that. But you can really feel that. You can really feel that. That's why it is the secret knowledge. What is the way that you feel? The way that you feel is something which is like, it really affects you. It immediately brings about a change within you. You know, we have such beautiful stories to show about what is that which has really made that knowledge something which is extraordinary. In simple school days that we have in the kindergarten school that we hear the story. Recently also I was seeing one of those, shadow plays of that. It was so impressive even now when I can appreciate that. That was the Punyakoti cow, and the tiger comes and says, I'm hungry, I have to eat that, I have to eat you. You are my food. But the cow says that, look, my calf is there, my little one is there, only one offspring is there, and then waiting for me, and then will be hungry. There may be other cows that are there, but then I have to go and tell this little one, feed the little one with that milk, and then tell the other cows to take care of him. And tell him that, look, you are not alone, that all these people are there to take care of it. Your mother will have to go because somebody else is hungry. Therefore, I have to take care of somebody else's hungry as much as I take care of hunger of yours. So I will come back. But then the tiger says, I don't want to believe you. How do you impress upon that? I promise. You see, it's only the promise that is. I said, what else can I do to make you believe? Please, I'm in responsibility that I have to feed my little one. The Punyakati goes there rushing, and then the tiger, half suspicious, half really not in a way that they can accept it, but in spite of it, they say, okay, you can go back. And the cow rushes to the group of cows that are there back home, feeds that little one, tells the little one how to behave, gives all the moral teachings and all that, and says that all these people are there to take care of you. You don't have to feel lonely. Ah, mother is not there. That's bad. But I will have to fulfill my promise that I've given. This cow rushes back to that, mother cow rushes back to that tiger. And the tiger couldn't believe the way that how hurriedly the cow was coming. And this tiger, when he looks at that mother, saying that I have fed my little one, I told what all supposed to be done. I told my friends to take care of that little one. Now I am free and you can eat me. See, this is a message which is beyond any words. And how do you do that? This message has only one simple principle that is there, that good faith in the goodness. This is what is important. Honesty. All these qualities are not in the world outside. You don't have to really be honest or dishonest or anything like that in the world. Everybody is dishonest. How can I be honest in this dishonest world? Everybody is a thief. How can I be not steal the things that are there in this world? So we always substantiate. Intellect always substantiate. Intellect tries to project you that whatever that good that you have done, you are anyway good, therefore you do it. Others do good because that they are compulsion to do it. You bad, you do it because the world is bad, therefore that you are compelled to do bad. Otherwise you are good. This is what intellect tries to teach us. That's what the knowledge that we know. But then there is another knowledge that you go with the faith, you go with the love, you go with that compassion. And that's what the Punyakoti says, that look, I have to feed somebody else, like the way that I have to feed you with my food, with my milk. I have to feed somebody with my flesh. And then he'll be waiting hungry. I can't make him wait for a long period of time. The Punyakoti cow comes back. And he comes there. When she comes there, tiger looking at that, he feels that such a cow who is so honest and sincere and faithful, I'm not going to eat you. I might die in hunger. It doesn't matter to me. And that tiger goes away from there, leaving the cow alive. See, that means to say there is another transaction that's available where the transaction with love, with faith, that's what is the one it works. That level of transaction in this small little simple story, the form of the Punyakoti cow and also the tiger, and they have the author has beautifully presented that. Such a some simple small little story at the child level can make such a big sense. So therefore, that this is what is a message that is conveyed by that Punyakoti is Paramam Vachaha. It cannot be explained in terms of words. I will come back. That's the only thing that the tiger could say, the cow could say to the tiger. I will come back. Please have faith in me. My words, I will come back. Tatteham priyamanaya. That means to say it's out of love, out of compassion for you. I show you something which is higher level of transaction. A normal level of transaction at a higher level of transaction. And from that level of transaction, this whole creation has taken place. It's beyond the pairs of opposite. So, bhuya eva mahabaho shrunume paramam vachaha yatteham priyamanaya vakshyami hitakamyayaha. In fact, it is said that the world is not there because of the right and wrong, good and bad, because of the moral level. But the world is something extraordinary because of the spiritual level. And the moment that spirituality is corrupted by greed, passion, compassion is replaced by passion. and your giving is replaced by greed and all those things that happen. Even the so-called the religion itself destroys the whole mankind. That's why in the name of religion, a lot of people do that. Let's not do that. Tame vidussuraganaha. So, hitakamyaya, for the sake of goodness of yours. What is that goodness that he's talking about? In fact, if it is supposed to be the goodness in the battlefield, Arjuna had the necessary capacity to fight the war. And if Krishna is wanting to motivate him to fight the war, Krishna did not have to spend 700 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. He could have immediately emotionally enraged Arjuna by saying that what happened to the Draupadi, what is that Duryodhana has done, how all these Kauravas were bad, and we are eliminating these people, and all that he could have said. And now what a personal damage that he has done to all of you. All that he could have said it. And then with all that, it would not take more than one more chapter to see that. In 2 chapters, Krishna would have made Arjuna to fight the war. But then it is not that Arjuna fighting the war, but because the emotion called anger, the emotion called as revenge, that's what's fighting the war. So it is not hitakamyaya. You are feeding your anger, you are feeding your animosity, you are feeding your negativity, and with that you are doing the work. Should we really do that? No. The message of this culture is not the message of somehow do it. That's not the kind of thing. But raise the platform of understanding from the level of good and bad, right and wrong, to the level where it is. The hitakam yayaha happens at the level of paramam vachaha, at the higher level of transaction. That's what Krishna is trying to give that. Name vidussuraganaha prabhavam na maharshayah ahamadarshi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashaha. An extraordinary, wonderful level that Krishna trying to take Arjuna to. Name viduhu suraganaha. That means what is that I'm talking about? This paramam vachaha is coming from me. That means to say, whatever that you assess about me, and from that my knowledge, my words come about. And that my words are weighed from that level. But then the words have different kind of a meaning when you are at a different level. And that different level that Krishna is saying that Name vidus suraganaha prabhavam na maharshayaha. Maharshis do not understand me. Even the gods, suraganaha, the various gods do not understand me. Name vidu. They just do not have any idea about me. Ahamadirhi devanam maharshinam char sarvas. Adihi, I am in the beginning. That means to say all the gods and goddesses and all these maharshis, they come from me. It is because that a small little aspect of me manifests in the form of them. That is what they are there. So that means to say, they are my amsha, they are my little part of it. They don't understand me. How can a small little flower understand the whole plant? They are like flowers, they are wonderful, extraordinary. This is where we need to understand something which is very important in this culture is that Suraganaha, when he says that all the gods, not that there is some world and where all the gods are sitting or anything like that. We have this concept of the qualities of goodness. Later on also in Bhagavad Gita, you get that idea. There are good qualities, there are good aspects of it that is there. And all that good aspects, good qualities, and then powers that are there. These power centers, these qualities, these things, what we call it as God. Suraganaha are these gods. It is like this that this small little lamp is there, and that's what is the light. We say that. But whereas a million of such lights put together, we call it a sun god. Similarly, a cup of water is there, it's water. But then trillions of cups of water together is an ocean god. Is a river which is flowing, continuously, perennially supplying us with the water. Therefore, the river is a god. The God concept is so easy for Indian culture because that we did not keep separate person that is there sitting outside. That's the reason why many get confused, because many think that God is somebody who is only one person sitting out there, and then he makes all this creation. That's what is the assumption that they have. This 6 days he sat together and then created one after the other. And there is a list of things they say. First day created this, second day created this, third day created this, fourth day created. So like that he went on creating one after the other, all those kind. And then after 6 days, seventh day, he was resting because yes, naturally that after doing so much of an activity, he has to take a rest. So it is necessary for him. So this is how that the others have concept of creation. It is like that there is somebody sitting there and creating. We don't have that concept of somebody creating there, only one God like that. We said that all these forces, everything are nothing but God's only. All this sum total, what we call it as the Paramapurushaha, extraordinary, wonderful power, force, creation, from which that whole creation comes up. So therefore, Suraganaha are these various different forces that are there on this earth. And then we have given them the various portfolios of gods, responsibilities of various activities. And Maharshinam, Maharshis are the people who are the people being in this world like any of us, but then they wanted to have a glimpse of something which is beyond your body, mind, consciousness, body, mind complex, intellect complex, will not give you, but you experience something which is beyond. They're experiencing something beyond. That's the reason why they are supposed to be rishis or maharishis. That means to say rishi is somebody that who has his eyes focused on something which is high. High means basically whatever that our senses can reach, whatever that our equipment can reach, something which is beyond that. That's what is Rishi. And such a person who can read beyond that and becomes one with the divinity, that's what is called as Maharshi. All these people are motivated because of me. All these people are inspired because of me. So therefore, the Suranam are the gods and goddesses which we have given the various portfolios, or which various holding various portfolios. Let's not say that we have given the portfolio that they are holding it, from which that a trickle of it, a trice of it is something that what we manage. Like the food god is there, and then we Annapurna, and then we manage a small little trickle of it, and that's good enough for us. So for us to manage. So therefore, this Suraganaha and then Maharshayaha, that means where earlier they have done the practices, they have gone to this level where they could appreciate something which is beyond. We have rishis, we have maharishis in this culture who have again and again reported that kind of an experience beyond that. And that has been coming up from since the beginning of the creation itself. Ahamadirshi Bhutanam Name Vidussuraganaha Prabhavam Maharshaya. They all these things that they have reached at that state and they may be having that power, but then they don't know me. Because the simple reason is that again, when as I said, compared to the small little lamp, sun is a trillion times bigger. But the sun himself is like a small little candle lamp in front of what all that behind in the form of me. So I am from that source from which all these things have come. So therefore, that it is something which is so much beyond, and that we are, normally what happens is that we have little knowledge and we think that we know everything. It's our ego that plays like that. There may be ego in these various Suraganaha also, and that's what we have again and again Puranic stories where they get caught up into the ego. In fact, our Upanishad also gives that idea. Kena Upanishad gives that idea, saying that now they have that ego, a simple activity that they do, and that activity itself, power, capacity becomes the ego. Goes to the wind god, Yaksha goes to the wind god and asks, "Who are you?" "I am the wind god." "What do you mean by wind god?" "I can blow anything, I can dry up anything." Then he keeps a blade of grass and says, dry it up. And the blade of grass is just there, did not, the cannot touch, the wind cannot touch that. Similarly, fire god, I can burn anything. He keeps the green blade of grass, tender blade of grass, and say, burn it. Can't do it. That ego was there that I can burn anything. But then even that power is coming from that divinity itself. But then they don't realize. It's very important because that power can always corrupt you. A capacity can corrupt you. Therefore, Suraganaha and then Maharshihi, and they don't know what is there behind it, unless until they dissolve themselves, become something which is beyond. So, Ahamadirshi Bhutanam, Devanam, Maharshinam cha Sarvashaha. I am somebody which is there behind all these things. Because that they have small little ego, their own thing, and then that becomes like their whole thing. They would like to go with that. It seems that a river is going towards, every river goes to meet with ocean. It goes towards that ocean. But how many rivers can meet with ocean? Some rivers get lost in the sand of the desert. So one river going through the desert and then sees that he is dying in the desert. The whole purpose of going towards meeting with the ocean does not take place. He's panicking. He doesn't know what to do. He says, I'm dying. Looks at the sky and says that you have been seeing that people are going towards, the rivers go towards the ocean. They meet with that. That's their purpose. I'm also trying to meet with the ocean. That's a good intention that I have. But then I cannot go there. I'm drying up in the ocean. So in this sand itself. So is there a way that I can go there? The sky says that there is a simple way that you can go. And what is that? That you take the support of the sun and become like a water vapor. And then you can reach the ocean. But then the river says that what is the point in going to join the river, to join the ocean, if I don't remain to be a river? I want to go there as a river itself. That's not possible. Unless until you give up, you cannot go there. You have to give up your ego, give up yourself. In fact, even the river which goes and merges with the ocean, you see the next moment it is already in the ocean. There is no more that riverness involved in that. River has to give up. The whole creation is like that. In fact, the change takes place because that you give up. A seed has the wonderful tree in that, and the tree has many, many seeds in that. But then if the seed does not want to give up, become like a tree, plant, then there is no way that he can grow to become somebody with millions of seeds that are there. He cannot become the part of the creation itself. But the seed says that remain as it is. Well, you can remain as it is, but then one day you will die. Neither your purpose is served, nor the transformation has taken place. Unless until you give up, the seed does not know what is coming up, but the seed has to happily give up itself, identity. And then it becomes like a plant. And the plant has many seeds. And the journey continues. The journey continues in the form of one seed to another seed to another seed, in between the plant and all those things. It's a continuous journey. We are wedded to one particular personality, one particular way. And then that is the only thing that we are holding on to. Give up. Try to proceed further. Name vidusuraganaha prabhamam na maharshaya aham adirhi devanam maharshinam cha sarvash. All these devas, maharshis, who are all that is there, adihi, I am in the beginning. And the beginning means all these things come from me. All these things are coming out of me. When they come out of me, so many things for such a long time, for eternity that they are coming, how can they know about me? I'm somebody like an ocean, and they are like a small little cup of water that you take from the ocean. And when you look at all this creation that you see, is it not something which is very small, little tiny aspect of whatever that is there behind all this creation? And that only that aspect of it can be understood by the human being, because human being is one spectrum. From one side that he is the matter, on the other side he is the consciousness. Name vidussuraganaha prabhavamna maharshayaha. And this prabhavam is a very beautiful idea that he gives. It is beginning, it is a begin, and it is full of that extraordinary, wonderful leela. In that form, it is developing. So for me, when I look at from my side, from my level, all these things look like a beautiful leela. But whereas from the individual point of view, and it's something which is extraordinary for them. Is it not so? Like, for example, how many people are there? Children are taking birth again and again, and several people all over the globe that are happening. But when you have your own child, it looks something which is extraordinary. It's like a miracle. It's like an extraordinary thing. Not only that, when the step by step that child takes care of every milestone in the life that they are going, and that is it not enchanting? Child speaks, child walks, child does everything. It's so enchanting, it's so mesmerizing. And this is what the Leela, where everything is there, all these things that are happening, and it has that unique sense of wonder within you. It's like a great miracle that is taking place. So, I'm the beginning of all these gods and goddesses. I'm beginning of all these rishis, Maharshayaha. Yomam ajam anadincha vetiloka maheshwaram asammudaha samartyeshu sarvapyaprai pramuchate. So Yomam ajam anadim, one who knows, veti, understands, ajam, that means I don't have any beginning, birth, anadim, there is no adi before that. Veti, though who understands, loka maheshwaram. And I'm somebody who is behind all these various worlds that are there, various planets that are there. Asammudaha samartyeshu sarva papye pramuchyate. A few things that we need to understand here. Yomam ajam anadimja. Normally what happens is that all the senses that give us information, our intellect, everything is that what is born out of something. There is something which is the prior to that which is born from where? This is what intellect questions. Where from this creation comes? That's what people are struggling to understand, fight. Yes, it's all about the world, wonderful. But one thing we understand that anything that you say that something is born, that means you have not known about God. You have not known about the supreme reality. Because all these things are born of something or the other. In fact, when you look at it, try to understand the world outside where it comes from. It can, the only way that the science approaches, the intellect approaches, the mind approaches, is the way that you try to divide it and try to understand it. And that dividing is what is called as vibhakti. Vibhakti is the way that we understand the world outside. We break it open. That's what the science is trying to do. Water, we broke it open into hydrogen and oxygen, and further we broke it into atoms and this and that, and further we broke into electrons, etc. So that means to say that we try to, intellect tries to understand by dividing it. By dividing it is called as vibhakti. It is opposite to bhakti. Whereas bhakti is the way that which you unite. So there are two different kinds of inquiry that is there. One inquiry is about the world outside, about the science. And the world outside about the science, the inquiry is in the form of dividing. And every division that you do, it actually narrows down the scope of things. It separates out and isolates something from the rest of it. It's not unifying it. That's what is called as vibhakti. Vibhakti is the way science progresses. This is what is in the external world, the analysis, the progress, the development that has taken place. Today, if you look at what is all the intellect, intellect is nothing but the tons of information about that, this breaking down details of the creation that is there, but it has nothing to do with something which is behind it. You never reach that. It's not that God is sitting there somewhere and then putting the things together to create. Some religions have that kind of view. But then that's a very limited view. That's not supported by any logic. It's only supported because of the simple reason that in the world outside that you can put two things together and then get something, like the way hydrogen, oxygen you put together to get water. That's a very crude analogy that we have, and the creation takes place in that way. Creation doesn't take place that way. It's something much more deeper, much more subtler. And that you cannot get by looking at the world outside by dividing it, but unifying that. Vibhakti is not the way that you understand, but bhakti is the way that you understand. And then bhakti, if you understand that bhakti way, and that's what is, you call it as God. So bhakti is not for the God. Bhakti is trying to unite together so that out of which that you realize the divinity, you realize the God. Normally what happens when you think of bhakti, we always think of God in the beginning and bhakti is the process. No, bhakti is the God, bhakti is the process. That's how the Indian philosophy looks at it. And therefore, that all these things, ajam, that means that it does not have any birth. In fact, there's a very beautiful analogy here that you could think of, that Rama is born to the parents. So Rama is a human being because he has the parents from whom that he was born. Whereas Sita, Ayonija, she doesn't have any yoni. That means she is not born out of human. She is found in the ground. Therefore, Valmiki says that Sitaya Charitam Mahato, Ramayana. He says that no, it's not Ramayana, but it is Sita Charita because she is the important person that is there. And it is she who managed the whole thing. It is because of the Sita, Ravana is attracted. It's because of the Sita that the fight has taken place. Because of the Sita, that evil has been eliminated. So therefore, the focus is on the Sita. The focus is on something which is not born out of the human way. It's something which is different. That's the greatness of Sita. Sitaya Charitam Mahatu. So therefore, Ajam, that means I am not born. Janma is not there. Anadim, that means to say there is nothing like a beginning for this. For me, there is no beginning. Yes, creation comes out of me. There is a beginning and there is an end. And this is a cycle that goes on. I am somebody behind this. Anything that you look into the world outside, into the material world outside, is all coming and going quality. But I'm there behind it. Aham ajam anadim cha vetti loka maheshwaram. Vetti, understand that. This vetti is not just intellectual understanding. Can somebody feel that? Can somebody realize that? So it is not like just, some books have said, some people have said, therefore, that I also feel that way, or I also understand that. This is a bookish knowledge. This is a knowledge of the words. Knowledge of the words are very limited. What else can it take to? In fact, knowledge that we take in terms of words goes into your head. It becomes like your memory. You can recollect. And not only that, you can get several such quotations from several people and then gather all those things and create a library within you. God is omnipotent, God is omnipresent, God is omniscient is something like you create a library within you of the glossaries that are there. At one of the times that there was one lecture that was I was invited for a talk. Another speaker was there, and he was speaking of something. My God, I was really taken aback because the way that he was quoting from Brahma Sutra says like that, this says like that says like that, this Upanishad quote like that. So for every word that he says, that there were 30, 40 quotations that he was giving from various Upanishads and Brahma Sutras and then various other Shastras and all those things. So what is that? It's all nothing but that what he said. He is trying to substantiate with all these quotes. That means you are legally establishing that this is what is right. It's not for the sake of your intellectual legal way of putting these things. And that's why God is not something which is a a part of the legal entity. It's something which is Vedti, is that experientially. Somebody who has that experience, he has that feeling within him, he has that anubhava within him. So all these quotations and the words and all that they enter into your head, but then the idea of God enters into the heart. The mother is a mother for the child not because of the head, but because of the heart. Mother does not keep the framed report of the child DNA test matches with her DNA. That's not the way that the child and mother are related. That's how modern science looks at it. But otherwise, the relationship is one of the heart. That you can see that how much, and group of people are there, ladies are there, some family function is going on, and one of the family close ladies carries that child, and the mother is busy with something else. Suddenly the child remembers the mother, and the moment that the child remembers mother, you can look at the child's eye searching for the mother everywhere, and then becomes so concerned about it until she finds that her mother. This little child, he or she, will be so restless. And the moment he finds mother, she finds mother, you can see the joy in that. That connection between the mother and the child is not intellectual connection. It is a heart connection. Child really is not suffering from anything. The moment he goes to the mother, she goes to the mother. Finish, everything be solved. Such a beautiful way that you can realize what a nice thing that happens in that. Not only that, I was just watching one of the YouTube videos where a duck was going with the ducklings, and then there were 7 or 8 ducklings. They were all crossing together the road, and while crossing that, they came to the end and they had to climb up onto the curb. And they were going, mother went up to the curb and then looked at the little ones. They all climbed, but then one duckling slipped into the drain down below. And you can see the mother panicking. I was just wondering, how does the mother know about the count? They know that there must be 9 ducklings, and then 8 are only there, and the one is not there. Do you think that mother knows the mathematics? Mother duck knows the math? Nothing like that. But it is the connection with this little one. And she was really panicking, and then one of the workers who were there realized the problem of that, and then went to the drain cover, removed it, and then put his hand down below into the drain, pulled out that little duckling, and the mother is happy with that. How did the mother know that one is lost there? Beautiful it is. Lovely to see that. That means to say, this is not the language of the intellect, the language of the heart. Language of the intellect is something which can be expressed. Language of the heart is something which is experienced. So this language of the heart is what is given by in the idea of that paramam vachaha priyamanaya. Earlier he said priyamanaya. That priya, that experience, that bhava comes bhava of the love. Arjuna's relationship with Krishna is not one of a simple teacher and student relationship. Teacher is a job. Teacher teaches. But then Guru doesn't teach. Guru is something which makes him feel, experience that. That experience is something which is extraordinary. That's something which is very important. And that Guru guides him. Guru takes his by hand. Guru is somebody who very subconsciously, unconsciously guides that. This kind of Guru Shishya relationship is very personal. It is not with the world outside. It is not to show to the world about the Guru. Guru is the feeling within. So therefore, Yomam Ajam Anadincha Vettiloka Maheshwaram. I am the Maheshwara of the Loka. That means I am the supreme Lord of the whole creation. Whatever that you find as an experience, all that experience comes from we. That's what is Loka Maheshwaram Asammudhaha. This is something which is very important. The Asammudhaha. That means one is called as Murkha, and this is what is Mudha. Murkha is somebody who does not have the knowledge, but the knowledge is something that you gain and then becomes knowledgeable. He gets the jnana. But what is that Mudha? Mudha is somebody who is sammoha. That means he's mesmerized. He's misguided, and he's hypnotized. He's hypnotized by the world outside. He's hypnotized into the things that are there. Hypnotized by his own knowledge, his own erudition. All those things is something which makes, but it has not become his experience. God is everywhere. God is omnipotent. God is omnipresent. God is omniscient. God is Loka Maheshwara. All these things are there. You take any mantra, set of mantras, they keep saying that all the time. And there are houses where morning to evening that they keep chanting all those things. Have they really understood that the Supreme Lord is the divine Loka Maheshwara? Vishnu is Loka Maheshwara? No. It's because the book said that they say it. Somebody said it, therefore they write. And then they do it very ritually. That means to say you are supposed to finish that you do it. It's not that how many times that you keep changing the mantras, but what is important is, do you really feel within you? Asammuraha, that means somebody. Samartyeshu, and the normal people, there are some people who you do not see them as something extraordinary, but you can see that they have the feeling inside. They have that experience inside. And they have a feeling that they are not anymore intellectually connecting this particular guy, but it's experiencing. Such a person, he will not be able to do any papa, any sin. The sin is essentially that for two reasons that sin happens. One reason that people get into sin is because that they want to show their greatness, their importance, the ego. The second thing is that by sinning, by hurting you, I get the advantage. I get the benefit out of it. And why he has to recollect, Krishna has to recollect this idea of sarva papaihi pramuchyate. It's because that Arjuna is going to fight the war. And that's in the form of Leela. War has to be taken in the form of Leela. This is a very beautiful word in the Indian concept of Leela. It's like a play. And this wonderful play that's going on, just go ahead and do it, knowing that it's all from me that all these things are coming. Sarvaloka Maheshwaraha Vetti. Recognizing that I'm the Loka Maheshwara, do the activity. It's like the way that on the drama stage, that there is so much of heat and discussion and all those things are going on. But the moment that both the artists, they go to the backstage, they sit together in share the cup of tea together, talk about some things nice. Why? Because the role that they are playing did not trouble them at all. Their personality did not trouble. So all these things that are going on, it's like a leela. When can I say that? When I see that, I recognize that it's all some divinity which is acting, which is working together. Yomam ajam anadim chavetti loka maheshwaram, who understands me as supposed to be beyond all this. Asammuraha. That means at any point of time. See, this is something which is very important is that sammudha is something, sometimes you're hypnotizing into it. Jnana belongs to some area, jnana belongs to some area, jnana belongs to some area, and all those things. That means to say there are limited kind of thing. Whereas Hasammudha is somebody is like a wake up. He woke up from the sleep, woke up from his dream. He came out of that. And when he comes out of that, then he is always he has that kind of a feeling that is there in the wakeful state. And that wakeful state that you are in, that's what is the state of asammuraha. Samartyeshu sarvapapaihi pramuchyate. What an extraordinary assurance that he gives Krishna to Arjuna, that once you realize that I am the person behind everything, it is from I am the Loka Maheshwara, from that, and you are with me. What else do you want? What else is something which is important? Once you do that, then naturally, then there is no question of sin attached with that. Go and fight the war, go and do all kinds of activity. But all these things are like the way that you do on the drama stage, and you are free from that. An extraordinary, wonderful message that Krishna gives, and gives a platform. He prepares a ground saying that this is what he's talking about, something which is beyond good and bad, right and wrong, and something which is much, much higher level, elevated. And that's what is asammuraha state. So let's continue the discussion of various other sutras as we proceed further. Om, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you so much.